Sports Bash live on the app and, of course, down in Radio Row in Miami, home of Super Bowl 54. It's brought to you by Golden Nugget Tavern, family-friendly, fast service, best swings in town, and great country music every week. That's Golden Nugget on Berlin, New Freedom Road. Everybody goes to the Nugget. You ever play there, Jason Fitz?
You know what? I probably did. You said that, and I'm like, I am sure that I played there. The busiest year that I was with the band Perry, we were gone 300 days. We did about 225 shows. So it's amazing how often people are like, oh, my God, did you ever play insert here? And I'm like, well,
probably
7 years with the band Perry, averaged about 200 shows a year. So that's 1,400, not to mention the 10-plus years touring before that with other bands. So, yeah, maybe. We'll go with a strong yes.
Possible, yes.
Definitely maybe.
Loved it. My favorite venue ever.
Yeah. Jason Fitz, First Take, Your Take, the new show, 1 to 3, nationally, ESPN Radio. And this is just starting. This is a week and a half old.
Yeah, so we're taking the best moments of First Take, the best of Stephen A., the best of Max. We're going to take those. We replay a little bit of it to catch everybody up in case they didn't see it on First Take. And then we take that conversation, we move it forward. So we'll bring on experts, but instead of doing like 12-minute hits, we're going to bring somebody on. We had Melvin Gordon today for 3 minutes. So I got 3 minutes with Melvin Gordon to ask him why running backs don't get paid, right? And then on top of that, we'll take the best topic we thought from First Take that day, and we'll throw it out to callers. So we do calls and tweets, and we make it super interactive. That's why it's First Take, Your Take. My goal is to make sure that everybody that's been yelling at their TV at Stephen A. instead can spend 2 hours yelling at me. I can take it.
By the way, have you ever played AC?
Oh, yeah, 1,000.
Like all over the place, right?
I mean, yes, absolutely. I mean, that's a standard. In fact, a lot of times people don't realize when you start your tours, more often than not, your annual tour, you spend the first 6 weeks of the year in rehearsal. You usually start up somewhere on the East Coast because there's so many consolidated country markets together. So you hit like Delaware, Atlantic City, like New Hampshire, Massachusetts. You can hit all of that in a 4 or 5 day span, which is really key because you want to get 4 shows in a row so you can break out whatever the problems were, fix it over the next 4 days off, and then reinvent the show however you need to.
Now,
the logistics in the music business, nobody thought they'd get.
Yeah, but for people who are listening, and obviously you were a part of the Golick and Wingo show recently, and now you're doing First Take, Your Take, but they're also hearing you talk about playing in a band and music and country music and all this stuff, like the origin of how you got to be sitting here. Not that we're anybody, but that you're sitting here with us.
Well, and thanks for having me, by the way. So I was a violinist as a kid. I started playing the violin when I was 4. I was 8 hours a day by the time I was 8. I got into Juilliard, played Carnegie Hall when I was 10. I was a little classical musician, and then I found out that you got a lot more girls singing than you did playing the violin. So I started singing with the group, and we kept getting and losing record deals, and we never really made it. And so that took me to Nashville, and eventually I started touring with other people, and most notably I was the fiddle player and musical director for the band Perry for about 6 years. So we're able to live most of my dreams out in the music business during the course of that run. But our busiest year was gone 300 days, and I came home to my wife, and I said, you know what, I've done this my whole life, and I'm good at it, and I'm thankful to get to do it. I don't love it. She said, if I asked 100 of your friends what you really love, what would the answer be? And I said, sports. So she said, find a way to talk about sports. So I took a microphone that I'd used for fiddle parts, sat in my car because I felt like an idiot, and I did a 10-minute podcast I put up on Facebook for my friends, and it was like a drug from the minute I did it. And so I ripped the whole thing apart. I wrote a business plan, and I just started hustling. I built a podcast from the ground up that eventually got me to ESPN. And in 2016, They offered me this tiny TV show on ESPNU with Mike Golick Jr. and Elika Sadeghi. And they said, we'll give you 1 episode, and if you stink, you're fired. So I quit the band with no idea how I was going to pay my bills. And I just said, yeah, I'm making the jump. And I did that 1 TV show. Luckily, they didn't fire me. And right after that, I went to work for the Nashville affiliate doing a morning show. And then before you know it, I ended up in Bristol, and Spain and Fitz led to Golick and Wingo, leads to First Take, Your Take. So it's been about 6 years of this grind, this grind for me, and I say grind in a positive way because I love doing it every day.
What's been the biggest challenge for you, like the biggest adjustment? Because you're an entertainer. I mean, you're talking about Carnegie Hall at 10 years old, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, obviously it's different. You're jumping into sports. You're doing a podcast out of the driver's seat in your car. Next thing you know, you're on ESPN. I mean, what's something you didn't realize or, oh, man.
Two big challenges. One, I'll never forget my first ever show that I hosted on a national radio platform. It was actually for Sirius XM. I subbed in on NFL Network in the middle of July, 4 hours solo. I did my 4 hour solo. Still don't know what I talked about. And then at the end of 4 hours solo, the way Sirius XM works, you're like in different locations everywhere, right? So I was in a studio in Nashville by myself, and I finished, and they were like, all right, bye, and they press a button and you're done. And I looked around, and I'm like, no applause, no like cheering, no high fives with the buddies. You don't go back to the bus. Like there's no like camaraderie. It was a very weird feeling not getting some sort of affirmation immediately after a show.
You were unsure.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's an adjustment period to that. The other thing that's been really interesting to me is when I first got to ESPN, not only on radio, but they also hired me to do SportsCenter on Snapchat and a lot of work on the digital side, realizing that every different audience wants a different topic. And that was like, I was used the night that Alex Smith was traded from the Redskins, from the Chiefs to the Redskins.
Right.
We blew up Spain and Fitz. We talked about it all night long. I went to 2 buildings away, went to Snapchat, SportsCenter. I was like, man, I have so much on this. And they're like, our audience doesn't care. And I was shook. And I was like, what do you mean? So the next day I looked at the metrics because I thought I was going to be able to prove them all wrong. And we get those daily on Snapchat. And they were right. The minute we went to Alex Smith, everybody clicked through. They wanted Lonzo Ball. So the biggest thing that's been the biggest challenge here is to realize that it's not like in music where you make your set list, you're going to play your show. Every single show you go to has a different, broadest set of the audience. What does that audience want? Do they want an acoustic show? Do they want a full band show? That like you really have to reimagine what you do for every platform that you're on. And I work on a lot of different platforms. It's what's coolest about it, but also the most challenging.
So, you know, what do you – is this your first time at the Super Bowl at Radio Row? You've been here before?
So I came through a friend years ago just to check it out. This is my first time actually working Radio Row, and it's
and by the third day you're done.
Oh yeah, well
you're ready to go home.
It's very
great, but it's a whirlwind.
Like country does Radio Row around certain award shows, so it's very similar where you're like you see a bunch of music radio stations, everybody's lined up, and you're trying to talk to as many people as possible, but. There's an energy to this, like that's.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely palpable.
Well, that's what I was going to kind of ask you to compare. Like, what is this like compared to? You mentioned the award shows and things like that. I mean, for a musician,
it's very much like the Country Music Awards, and I say the Country Music Awards specifically because CMAs, ACMs, Country Music Award shows are about family and camaraderie, and everybody knows everybody, and everybody gets along with everybody. When we were lucky enough to get to do like the American Music Awards, the Billboards, the Grammys, things like that, everybody has their separated, dressing room. Nobody talks to anybody. I had to get an escort to walk me into Bruno Mars' dressing room, even though I know Bruno's drummer really well. Like, you're not allowed there. So this reminds me of the country music shows in the sense that you walk in and it's like family. It feels like we're all grinding to the same thing. Like, we're all working for the same love.
So we just had Rashad Jennings, who won Dancing with the Stars, and we asked him, what's he more known for? What's a bigger, the sports genre or the music genre?
Sports.
Yeah?
Sports fans are, because I think they see you and hear you in so many different places. The coolest thing about sports talk radio, and it relates to country music, is that you get a relationship. You guys know this. Like, there's certain callers and certain tweeters and certain people you see at live events, and they become part of your life. You become part of their life. That's what country music's all about, right? Like, so there's a real comparison to that, but sports fans hit more. It hits like the dad, the son, and the grandpa all watch it. And so Golick Jr. and I, a couple years ago, were covering the All-Star Game, Major League Baseball Home Run Derby. And we went to a bar after our work was done. Thank you. We're sitting in the bar. We're having a cocktail. Right. And a guy walks up and taps us on the shoulder. And he's like, hey, would you mind taking a picture? But it wasn't with the dads. It was with the kids because the kids watched us on SportsCenter on Snapchat. So it was the kids that asked for it. And those are the moments you look at and you think, man, multiple generations get hit by sports. And that's that's the coolest part of the occupation.
All right, we're going to wrap up here real fast. We've been playing Get to Know with all of the ESPN personalities, so we will match up your answers with your friends, Mike Golick Jr., Mike Golick Sr., Will Kane, and now Jason Fitz.
All right.
And Stu Gatz.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, here we go. Short shower, long shower.
Long hot.
Wow, he went long shower.
Yeah, long and hot.
Yes.
All right. Who would win in a real fight, a Chief or a 49er?
Oh, wow. You know what? I'm going to say a Chief. I think a Chief is going to have more stamina in the fight than the 49er is going to have.
All right. The Niners been places. He's gritty, but
he's got what's in his lungs? Like, we don't know. Like,
that's true.
He's mining.
That's
come on, he's mining.
You're right.
Alarm goes off. Get right up or hit the snooze.
Oh, get right up, because I'm afraid if I hit the snooze, it'll turn to 2 snoozes, turn to 3 snoozes, then I'm late.
How many second graders do you think you could fight off before it becoming a problem?
1. because
One?
Wow.
So two's going to bring you down?
well, no, here's the thing. Like, I'd feel bad about the first one that I, like, flung off and, like, and be so empowered. I'm a little guy that works with big guys, right? So I'd finally be the big guy in an argument. I'd fling the second grader off. Then they would charge me, and there would be the problem. So I get through one. This is obvious.
Wow.
Golick Jr. was
He said
less
200.
compassionate.
He said
Oh,
200.
yeah, Golick Jr. is not compassionate at all. He's a big boy that was an offensive lineman. Come on.
That's true.
All right, a couple more. At a hotel, sheets tucked or untucked?
At a hotel? Untucked.
Yeah, you know how they tuck them in real tight?
Oh, yeah, no, I want them untucked.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to feel suffocated.
Did you ask, like, don't tuck my sheets in?
Well, I don't have that level of diva in me, but if I ever do, I will. But, fun fact, I do make my own bed every day, and when I do, I usually tuck the sheets.
There you go. All right, here's an important one for you. If you were a fart, would you be loud and proud or silent but deadly?
No, there's nothing about me that's silent, right? I mean, no, I'd
Everybody.
Everyone,
Loud.
man.
Well,
Everyone just overlooks
Yeah.
the silent but deadly aspect.
like, yeah, no, I think. What did Junior say?
Everybody loud and proud.
Okay, he can say that all day long, but that man destroys the studio every morning. I don't care
With
what.
silent but
with
deadly.
I mean, he just
Wow.
sits there, and you look over, and you're like, man, I can't. I'm vomiting in my mouth, and he's like, yeah, that's your fault.
Last one. Do you tip when you do pickup?
No. Why do you tip when you do
Because
pickup?
they
Yeah.
print the receipt and there's a line that asks for the tip.
Like, where are we in the world with this? I mean, I picked up. Now somebody's going to hate me on Twitter for this, but I'm just saying, like, I'm a.
No, that answer's been split.
Yeah, it has
I
been split.
believe in the power of tipping generously, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, come on. Like,
All right, well, I got to stop tipping then.
I also don't tip my latte maker at Starbucks. Like, come on, they get great benefits. I mean, it's one of the best companies
I
in
have to
America.
continue to not tip.
First take, your take. ESPN Radio, Jason Fitz, 1 to 3. Congrats on the new show.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.